12.0.5 is just around the corner, guys. This thing's dropping on the next reset. Pretty exciting. But we got some things that you should get done. Here we go. Another video from Kalani. The most important things to do before patch 12.0.5 goes live and what not to ignore. Let's check this video out real quick from him and see what we need to get done in these final days before patch hits.
Folks, this is Kalani. Patch 12.05 goes live next week and it introduces a whole bunch of new content and quite a few new ways to gear up, but there are a few things you'll have to do before you can take advantage of this new content. The patch also makes certain things significantly easier, so it might not be worth spending your time on those activities with the patch arriving next week.
Interesting.
So let's go over what we would recommend you do before patch 12.05 goes live to best prepare your characters and what you should wait on if you want to save yourself a bunch of time and effort. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. The main thing you'll want to get done before the new patch arrives is to complete the Voidforge weekly quests and make sure you're ready for the 6th quest on patch day. As long as you're up to date with the quests, you will be able to pick up the 6th and final quest right as the patch goes live. Completing the Voidforge opens up some insane gearing opportunities.
Yeah, the Voidforge is a huge deal for 12.0.5. I talked about it this morning. You're going to get two things out of that. One, you're going to get that Voidforge upgrade system that'll take heroic track gear to myth track for weapons and trinkets, which is amazing. It also does it for crafted gear. Crafted weapons, I'm assuming, and so that's pretty crazy. And then you're also going to have the ability to re-roll on shit with the stuff that you get from the Voidforge. So the ability to basically do another roll on any boss that you kill or anything like that to get spec-specific items. So re-rolling on those best-in-slot items is going to be great.
Like being able to pick up 2 pieces of myth track gear every single week for the rest of the season. It's super easy to check if you're up to date with these quests. Just pop by Decimus in Voidstorm. If he has a quest for you that's purple and important, you're not caught up yet. You can also check the Voidforge itself. You want to be at 5 of 5 at the end of this week, so if you're not caught up, I would highly recommend you get that done before the patch goes live. Now, if you're more than 1 week behind, you don't have to worry. You should be able to complete the Void Core quests back to back. So when you hand one in, you should be able to pick up another and another until you're at 5 of 5 on the Voidforge tracker.
What do you got to turn in to get these done? His mouse is hovering over, so I can't. There it is. What are we turning in? Collect elementary Void Core shards from Midnight Season 1 raid bosses. Bountiful. Damn, I should have been picking this up every time we went into raid. Shit. The fuck? Oh my god. This would have been an easy one for me to complete. Why did Blizzard do this? Gator Wolf, thank you. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. Why would Blizzard put this fuckboy in the middle of nowhere? He should have been in freaking Silvermoon where I could pick this quest up. Damn it, now I gotta have time to make up this shit.
So you're at 5 of 5 on the Voidforge tracker. The quests are also super simple. You just need 3 elementary Void Core shards, which can drop from dungeons, delves, or raid boss kills.
It isn't nowhere. He's literally right near the raid. Don't give me no common sense fucking comments. I don't want to hear that shit. The hell? This is supposed to be an echo chamber. You're supposed to be like, yeah, Sam, you're right, you're right.
So as long as you're taking part in some endgame content, you should be able to complete these quests without much additional effort. The quest completion and progress is also warbound or account-wide, so you only have to do this on one character, and all of your alts can pick up their own Void Cores to gear up even faster in patch 12.05, so it's definitely worth doing. If you haven't already, now is also a great time to dip your toes into Mythic Plus Dungeons and start working on your score. This might be the easiest Mythic Plus Dungeons have ever been, but the rewards have never been better. When your Voidforge is completed, you'll be able to pick up 2 nebulous Void Cores, which are basically bonus rolls for extra loot.
Great
when
stuff.
you use a Void Core, you are guaranteed a piece of gear from the content you just completed, so if you kill a raid boss on Heroic, you'll get one of that boss's items from that difficulty.
Thank you, Cursed. It looks like I'm not the only one who didn't fucking pick up that damn quest. The thing is, those purple triangles, I've kind of learned to ignore them a little bit. Because some of them are just sitting out there like, I know that one's for prey. I know that one's for some kind of crafting thing. Like, I'm not going to do it, so I just kind of ignore them. So I guess I've been fucking ignoring that guy, which just sucks.
dungeon, you'll get an
They're
item
important. I
from the
know. That's why
dungeon
they're
with
marked
an
with the purple one. But I just know which ones some of them are, and I've decided like I'm not going to do that right now. I didn't realize that one was related to freaking weekly progression.
item level equivalent to the weekly vault reward that keystone would have given you. That means that you can
It's
get
my
hero
fault. It's my
gear
fault.
from using void cores on +2 dungeons if you really wanted to, but the real value here comes from some higher keys. If you are able to push up to +10 keys, which really isn't too difficult in the current season, you'll be able to earn yourself 3 pieces of myth track gear every single week by completing just 2 +10 keystone dungeons. You can
Nice.
use your 2 weekly void cores at the end of the dungeon to get myth gear, and you get to pick which dungeon that loot is going to come from, which lets you target specific pieces of
Yeah, you
gear
target
to
best in
increase
slot
your
items.
odds of getting an upgrade. And because you'll be completing at least 1 +10 keystone dungeon, you'll get an item in your weekly vault on the myth track as well. Obviously, the more dungeons you run, the more choices you'll have in the vault, but getting at least 2 done per week will get the most out of these new void cores. This is by far the most access non-raiders have had to myth gear, but it's only available if you take part in the Mythic Plus system. Every other use of your void cores will max out at hero gear, unfortunately, so I definitely think it's worth jumping into Mythic Plus even if you haven't done so before. As an extra bonus, patch 1205 will also introduce 2 new achievements for Mythic Plus. When you reach 3,400 rating, you'll get a time-lost saddle that you can trade in for a selection of new mounts or any previous Keystone Master or Keystone Legend mount. So if you missed a season of Mythic Plus in the past, but you really want to pick up one of those mounts, that's now going to be an option on the table. And then if you manage to end the season in the top 1% of Mythic Plus players, you'll earn a special mount and the Umbral Champion achievement. We don't have any previews of any of these new mounts just yet, but having more goals to strive for in the Mythic Plus system is only a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, this is great. I think it's going to cause people to push their scores a lot higher, because in previous seasons, probably if you had a 3,400 rating, you were very likely close, if not in the top 1%. But once Blizzard makes this like a legitimate achievement, I'm betting people are going to absolutely crush their fucking keys. People are going to push their scores higher than ever, which is, I mean, this was a very smart idea on Blizzard's side, because this is going to continue. People are going to continue to participate in Mythic Plus longer now, and they're going to strive for these achievements, and it's going to continue to cause people to, like I said, play the game longer and deeper into the season.
I would also strongly suggest you take a look at the patch notes to see what's actually changing with your class or spec. A lot of early updates for 1205 were reverted fairly quickly. I've seen a lot of comments about Frost Mages losing their second Ray of Frost charge over the last few days, but that change was reverted pretty early on, so we will still have 2 charges heading into next week. The only big change for Frost Mage is that we won't start a fight with Glacial Spike already built up. The Unholy Death Knight changes to Soul Reaper were also...
To be top 1%, you probably got to time 19s, maybe. Yeah, for 3,400 rating, it's 16s is what I've seen. Yeah, 16s for 3,400 rating. I've seen that a couple times now, people saying that. But the 19s for the top 1%, maybe.
Walked back quite rapidly, so not...
I think the highest key this season done is a 20. So the 19s will probably get you there.
Every update Unholy will go through. Preservation Evokers will still see the change to Temporal Anomaly, but it's now a choice instead of baseline behavior. So you have a new talent that turns Temporal Anomaly into an AoE rather than a ball that moves forward, so you get to pick and choose which form you want to use for which kinds of content. And then just this week, the huge nerfs coming through for Mountain Thane Warriors were reverted as well. It's kind of annoying going through each round of PTR notes to see what changes came in and then what got taken back out, but when the full patch notes are available, make sure you read through them, because a lot has changed from the start of the PTR up until now. This is also a good week to catch up on any story quests you might not have finished yet. You can work your way through the entire max level story campaign now, and both raids are available on story mode, so you can complete the raid quests without actually having to do the raid. You can get a new Hearthstone toy, as well as the Peridot Dragonhawk mount, and if you have any interest in the overarching story of the Midnight expansion, you'll want to get these quests done to see how the story progresses, and where we end up before heading into the next patch. You might also need to complete some of these quests to pick up the story when it continues in patch 1207 or 12.1, so it's always worth doing them at least once. It's
another cringe story coming in 12.0.5. I don't think there's going to be a story advance. We're just gonna get like void invasions and shit. I think the story advance won't happen until the patch after. But yeah, we want more cringe story. That'll happen soon.
Worth noting
I think we're getting a Monty Trolls soon, like a Monty Troll story happening with the Monty Troll raid and everything. That'll be the next big patch.
that you don't necessarily have
Which
to
I
do
welcome. I
anything
think it'll
to
be cool.
start the new content coming in 12.05. You should be able to pick up the new quests for the Void Assaults and Ritual sites and jump straight into that content without any real prerequisites. If for some reason you still haven't finished the initial story campaign, you know, the leveling up one, like a few folks in the comments section apparently haven't, I would highly recommend you get that done at some point, because you are missing out on quite a lot of content, and that might be the one thing that could block you from seeing the new quests in patch 12.05. Now, as for things that I wouldn't worry too much about, the first thing would be leveling up any of your alts. The new Void Assaults and Void Incursions being introduced in 12.05 can be completed from levels 80 to 90, and each one will give you an okay amount of experience. This could end up being a decent way to level your alts without having to spam delves or dungeons or grinding your way through efficient quests. So if you want a new way to level your alts, it could be at least a bit more interesting with these new events in play. The speed of leveling using these events will fully depend on how many players you have in your map or zone clearing the assault.
Yeah,
but from the first
sure.
few days of PTR testing, when there was more than a handful of people around, it was made pretty clear that there is some huge potential for these assaults to absolutely fly by.
He makes a good point that if you're still on the level of anything up, it's going to be a really good time to do it early when the patch launches. Because then you'll have basically the entire community or the server sitting in the zones completing these events very quickly. So if you want to be part of that to kind of siphon out all that XP really quickly, that'll be the best time to do it. Because after a couple weeks, it's just going to kind of be dead, Pete. You're going to have to do it kind of on your own. It's going to take much longer. So yeah, leveling early in the patch is going to be a really good idea if you still want to level.
You could drop into an assault and it be completed within a few minutes, which could lead to some decent leveling speeds for your alts. The week the patch goes live will also have a time walking event, which is usually much faster leveling when compared to normal midnight dungeon spam. So
typical FOMO scam for Blizzard. Well, it's technically not Blizzard that's doing that. It's the player base. They're just not going to do the content as much anymore. It's still going to be available. Blizzard's not taking it away. Those assaults and shit will still be happening. It's just there'll be less people doing them.
Even if you don't want to level your alts for the assaults, waiting for the time walking event to start up could be more
got
efficient
time walking
anyways.
coming.
Now, with that being said, the new patch does introduce quite a few new ways to gear up, so if you want to take advantage of those right away without having to spend more time leveling, it's not a bad idea to get some alts leveled up this week. It's going to be entirely up to you. I definitely wouldn't spend too much time worrying about gear before the patch goes live though, especially if you're a solo content focused player. The new assaults and ritual sites kind of override every other gearing path or option in the game for you. You'll be able to straight up buy champion gear and hero gear from a vendor using the new field accolade currency. Each piece of champion gear will cost you 75 field accolades, and each piece of hero gear will cost you 500. And unlike delves, where your rewards are strictly limited by how many restored coffer keys you can get per week, you can endlessly farm field accolades to buy as much of this gear as you want. From the latest testing that I did on the PTR, each Void Assault you complete will reward you with 8 field accolades, and the Void Incursions usually reward double that, but you'll be completing significantly more assaults when compared to incursions anyway, so 8 per assault is a good number to use when figuring out how quickly you might be able to gear up. With those numbers, it will take just over 60 assaults to earn yourself a piece of hero gear, which is quite a lot, but it's a guaranteed piece of hero gear that you can farm endlessly, and you're always working towards your next piece. Farming assaults is also very easy and laid back. There's no real difficulty or stress involved there. Now, if you want to farm field accolades a bit faster, you want to check out the ritual sites. These are definitely more of a brain switched on content type, but you can earn far more field accolades much faster to help you gear up. There are 5 tiers of difficulty for ritual sites, and you can expect to earn about 20 field accolades per tier 1 run, increasing up to over 100 for a tier 5 run.
Yeah, so this is probably how you'd want to do it if you really want that heroic gear, because you can get it up to... If you do a tier 5, you get 100, so you just got to do 5 of these. And you could 5-man these. These are 1 to 5-man content.
So you can get a piece of hero gear every 4 to 5 runs if you can clear tier 5 ritual sites reliably, so there's some good progression and gear rewards in ritual sites. This means that
Yeah,
if
I'm
you've
looking. Doc, you say I'm looking forward to these. Yeah, they've been compared to basically Mythic Plus meets Vision of N'Zoth. Like that's kind of how people have described them, or a Delve meets Vision of N'Zoth, I should say, because they've got the tier system, and it gets a little bit more difficult as you go up. But then at the same time, it's got these like Visions of N'Zoth style affixes that you attach to them. You can pick which ones you attach to.
been grinding away at the Delve Seasonal Journey Renown track, trying to get some reliable hero gear, that
Horrific Visions is what I call them. Visions of N'Zoth. Yeah, they were called Horrific Visions.
might not actually be worth it anymore. You'll get more hero gear from the new content in 1205. I would still do a handful of bountiful delves per week for the rep rewards, the weekly vault credit, and for the large weekly rep bonuses, but I really wouldn't go out of your way to grind up to rank 9, or maybe even use all of your restored coffer keys. It's actually very interesting to me that this new patch almost invalidates both Prey and Delves as sources of gear. They might still be useful for brand new level 90s for the easy champion gear, and because you probably want to save your field accolades for the hero gear, but locking the hero gear rewards in Delves behind rank 9 in the Renown track, a rank that most players will not have obtained at this point unless they're actively farming bountiful Delves every single day, and then introducing a source of hero gear which is much easier and immediately available is just kind of weird. It feels a bit disjointed, like no one really set these rewards on a timeline to figure out when the average player would actually gain access.
They need to, because now there's a way to get even higher gear in the vault through this shit. They need to upgrade the gear that you get from the vault, the item level of the gear you get from the vault from Delves and Prey. I think that's the only way to keep them relevant right now.
To them. At the current rate, most folks will be fully equipped in hero gear from the new event before they reach rank 9 in the Delve Renown track, so those ranks and their rewards lose almost all of their value. That's also assuming players still use all of their restored coffer keys in Bountiful Delves after this patch goes live, which probably won't be very likely because they'll be wanting to farm the hero gear instead of being stuck with champion gear until they reach rank 9.
Eggsy, thank you. 22 months. My God.
Samiccus.
Yes, uwu indeed. Thank you, Eggsy. I appreciate that. Death Knight Ever Scourge.
Tells me that the hero gear from Delves should either have been on an earlier rank, or getting to rank 9 should have just been much faster. But either way, gearing up will be much easier in patch 1205, so I wouldn't worry too much about your gear until the patch does go live. And I definitely wouldn't spend any extra time grinding Delve Journey Progress or Renown. But that's everything we would recommend you get done before patch 1205 goes live, and some things you can quite safely ignore. So that's it for this video.
This was a good point here, man. I got to get that done.
Void Forge every week, or will you be in a mad scramble to get everything caught up before the patch goes live? And how do you feel about the new gear vendors more or less replacing Prey and Delves for solo content focused gearing up? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see their names on screen. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can find links in the description or click the join button just below the video. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful in any way, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always kept up to date. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.
Nice. Yeah, nice video from Kalani. Definitely getting that Void Forge done. I mean, that's big time gear progression that you're going to miss out on early on if you don't have it up to 5 or 4 or 5, whatever the max is right now. So getting that done, getting a few other things done, and then not worrying about some things like the Delve track and shit right now, because yeah, it's gonna matter less once this patch goes live. Nice video overall from Kalani.